Charisma Quotient. I'm your host, Kim Seltzer, a dating and makeover expert, where I will help you build confidence, make connections, and find love from the outside in. There was a small study done on Bumble. This is actually really interesting that indicated that more than half of the people, mostly women, admitted that they would cancel a date due to a poor body image and feeling insecure. I mean, that's a lot of people that would cancel a date just because they're not feeling good. And, you know, body image and self-worth can have a huge impact on your dating life in a number of ways. I mean, this includes how you feel about yourself, how you interact with others, how you form relationships. And now, on top of it all, throw a divorce in the mix, right? So when you feel insecure in any aspect, it's impossible to feel sexy and even have the energy to go out and flirt, and even can cause some interpersonal anxiety. A negative image of yourself will shape your dating life in a certain way, and you may avoid even sexual intimacy because you don't feel safe or you don't want to be seen, as you think of, oh, like, who would find me attractive? Or you might even fear being rejected or hurt again, like whatever your journey is with that. But in the end, you might subconsciously end up dating someone who confirms your own deepest fears and what you believe to be true of yourself as almost a protection of getting hurt. And it's a self-sabotage to keep distance from getting too close with someone. There was a woman that I worked with who definitely had this. I mean, she just came out of a divorce. She was kind of a fish out of water, really not feeling sexy. I mean, she was in her 60s and she's like, I'm too old to be sexy. She really hated the way her body changed. She hadn't gone shopping forever. So she had no dating clothes and she was completely lost. So by the time she called me, she's like, Kimmy, I don't even know where to start because when I look in the mirror, I don't even like me. And so I said, well, that's the first thing. Like, I can teach you how to flirt. I can teach you the dating skills. But until you look in the mirror and say, I'm sexy, I got it going on, nothing's going to happen. So, of course, we started with, a virtual makeover that I always do. We got her some sexy clothes. We started taking pictures. She came to my retreat. We worked on her body language. And by the time cut to the second retreat that she came with. And this is an incredible story. She was irrecognizable. In fact, I had Inside Edition come and film my retreat. And this is a woman who was so shy, so insecure. She went up to the cameras and said, I just got to tell you, because of this woman, I have a date right now in between our sessions. And so we filmed her going on this date. I mean, she had the confidence and the moxie to invite this guy because she was just feeling on cloud nine, and she's dating up a storm. And for the first time in a very long time, she sees herself sexy. So, in the end, if you have sexy confidence, positive attitude, higher self-worth, you're more likely to feel comfortable in your body and be open to attracting love. And because I always say this, it's not about the man. It's not about the woman. It's about you. And it's not until you look in the mirror and say, I'm hot, I got it going on, no one else is going to. So today on the line, I have an amazing woman. I feel like we're besties already, who has been through a lot on her own journey with body image, self-worth, and now dating and love. I had the pleasure of being on her podcast, which unraveled into a powerful conversation and vulnerability of her. And she has this like quest to be open and start dating again. And we ended up doing this amazing coaching session together. So we're going to kind of like to be continued, because she was dying to know. She wanted a dating plan and I wasn't going to give it to her till she came on the show. So I figured we'll continue the party here. She is an author of Pain to Purpose, Finding Meaning in the Mess. She's a body image advocate, athlete, single mom of two, and a media personality. She struggled with anorexia, bulimia, and having having very little self-worth over a decade. And she decided to create a safe space for teen girls. I love this, who are struggling with body image and self-worth. It's called Blue Butterfly Foundation, which provides mentorship and advocacy from women who have battled body image and self-worth and disorders when it comes to eating. And she now also has a podcast, thERINpy, I hope I'm saying this right, where she brings inspiring stories from authentic and vulnerable guests who have overcome all the things to come out on the other side, including myself, as I was just on her show talking about transforming from frumpy mama to hot mama with my red dress moment. You all know that story ad nauseum. Welcome, Erin Washington. You there?
I would like to tell everyone that I've been held in Kimmy's basement until I came on to get this dating plan. She has just untied me, and I'm happy to be here.
Yes. Oh, I didn't want you to really admit that on air right now.
I'm, I'm so happy to be here in my podcast. Yes, it's called thERINpy, and it's
Yes.
therapy with my name in the middle because it's live therapy every week, me working through all of the things that you just listed. And you were just on my show, and this is a continuation.
I know. Okay, so let's recap because not everybody has listened to your episode. And by the way, you need to go and listen to that episode because it was super fun. Maybe we can back up and just like, I'd love for you to share your story. I know, like, you told me a little bit, and I actually don't know all of it. I know bits and pieces. So I'd love to hear a little bit of your journey and what really got you into all this.
My journey, I always say, starts with soccer. For some reason, I don't know if somebody just said I was good at soccer when I was like 5 or 6, but I attached my value and my worth to soccer. I was completely obsessed and trained relentlessly every day. I had 3 younger sisters. They were all kind of casual about soccer. It was only me. I was obsessive about it. I started as a freshman on varsity in high school. I was the captain. I never came off the field. I got a Division I scholarship, played in college. And I remember every time somebody would be like, "Where are you going to college?" It was like, "Oh, this place for soccer." Like I needed everybody to know that I was super talented at soccer. And I didn't realize this until now. I'm unpacking this now. But in the middle of my soccer career, in college, I wasn't playing, and kind of on a whim, I quit. And I'm like, I'm putting all this effort and training into it. I'm not seeing the field. And it wasn't until I quit that I realized how much it was my value and my worth. And I fell into a deep depression. There was bulimia, where I felt, since I'm not an athlete anymore, I can still eat like one and I'll just get rid of it. And anyone that's familiar with bulimia, it's not exactly how it works. And it becomes something that takes over your life. I struggled for 10 years, just totally wrapped up in my body image and my identity. I don't play soccer anymore. So now what is there? Kind of came out of the actual eating disorders, but admittedly was still completely restricting my calories and over exercising in my 20s, and happened to meet my husband, who was in the height of his career in the NFL. Again, unpacking this through therapy, I attached myself to him because he was shiny and worthy and valuable. And if he's dating me, then I'm shiny and I didn't have any self-worth. So I attached myself to him. I mean, I'm still physically attracted to him. It's a problem. But we are no longer aligned. We've been together for 19 years, married almost 10, and have 2 kids. When I kind of shared my story of my eating disorders, I stepped into profound purpose with all the women that message me and are like, "Me too. I haven't even told my husband." So I'm like, I have found that I can be vulnerable about this. And it kind of just spurred more vulnerability. Like I have OCD and I talk about that. And I created a community, and a radio station producer was watching me on Instagram during the pandemic. She gave me a show. And then I thought, I have all these powerful women that I talk to on my show. Why not use these women as a network of mentors for teen girls who are struggling with body image and self-worth? And I essentially created a place that I sure could have used when I was in my mess. And now it's just thERINpy, my show, and Blue Butterfly Foundation. And again, I am completely aligned and walking in my purpose. And when that happened, my relationship kind of went the other direction, and I filed for divorce.
Mm. And then, yeah. And how long have you been single for? I know we talked about this.
I filed a year and a half ago, but we were separated about 6 months before I filed. So we've been separated 2 years, I would say, but I filed a year and a half ago and it is not finalized. So I'm still
Yeah,
kind
you're
of, and
still
I
in
haven't been
a
on one date. Yeah, still a
which
little fresh.
yeah, it's a tiny fresh.
Yeah.
Um, Well, and this I think ties into because, like I said to you before we pushed record, I think it would be such a great and valuable conversation because so many people listening, I think, can relate to what you're saying and like your journey. And again, whether you have an eating disorder, body image issues, whatever, it doesn't matter. When again, it's about like not feeling confident or insecure for whatever reasons are going on. And when you have a layer of a lot of them, it can really impact not only going out and dating, but who you attract as well.
Yes.
And how you can give your power away when you're not feeling in power. And so I want to have like more of a conversation about that. So like when you were going through like those early years, when you were struggling, how did you then like kind of overcome some of that stuff to get to the point where you could give, some support to other people?
Um, Healing my relationship with food obviously came first before I admitted everything. A trainer at my gym was like, I see how frustrated you are. And I'm like, yeah, because I do everything right. I'm here every day. I barely eat and I'm like 20 pounds overweight. And he was like, yeah, like you just need to eat more and you're over exercising. And he kind of like reframed everything for me. So I get backlash from the eating disorder community when I say that I did not find my true confidence until I found that in my body, until I felt comfortable in my body. And yes, you could be comfortable at any size. For me, until I got that off of me, that was just something looming over me. It didn't matter what else was happening. I was like counting calories and macros and pulling up menus before I went to a restaurant to make sure there was something that I would eat until I got that under control and got my body actually where I wanted it and felt confident. I wasn't, I don't know, it's like I got that off of me and then the rest of my life opened up and I was getting these opportunities and me sharing it, getting to the point of sharing it to answer your question, I did not want to and I did not plan to. My first book was called Squats and Margaritas, A Journey to Finding Balance. And it was basically to the woman working out and not seeing results. I can help you. You're not eating enough. Everything the trainer said, you're working out too much. And now I live with balance and it's squats and margaritas and I'm not so restrictive. And that's what I wanted it to be. And I hired a writing coach and I send her the draft and she was like, are you a nutritionist? Are you a trainer? And I'm like, no. And she's like, you have no credibility. Like, why would anyone buy this book? And she's like, if there was a story there with how you got to this place in your life. And I was like, oh, absolutely not, because shame. I was like, I finally stopped doing it. I don't want anybody to know. And she just kept pushing me. She's like, that's your credibility. You share your story and then share how you live now. And I fought her on it. And then one day I just wrote it and I didn't send it back to her. I didn't tell anyone else. And Kimmy, immediately, I felt lighter. It was off. So then I sent it back to her and she picks up the phone and she goes, this is your book. So
Mm.
I the second half of it is what I wanted it to be. And the first half is my in detail story of what it's like to live with the eating disorder, how I came out of it and how I live now. And I mean, had she not pulled that out of me, it was like, it's the start of everything. I started healing out loud and now I support other women. It just gives me purpose from that pain. And anyone that hasn't found their purpose yet, it's like, look at what you've been through. There was a reason for that, and there's someone still in that. So if you can share and be vulnerable, like it's going to help the woman who can't. And that's why I do my show. Like I'll just be vulnerable so that the woman who's not ready to can get the answers without having to be vulnerable herself. So short answer is it was pulled out of me and
Mhm.
I didn't want to.
Well, we always don't want to do things that are hard, right?
No.
Like if it were easy, you would do it. And so the
Yes.
fact that you did it and it was super hard, that's probably why you overcame some of these things. And I love that you touched upon the whole aspect of like the vulnerability and authenticity because I teach that in dating. Because like when we're our authentic self, that's definitely like there's a correlation in who you attract when you do that,
Yes, ma'am. Can I just,
right?
that is what happened.
Yes.
When
Okay.
I was in my 20s, I attracted the match for someone I was not and someone I was trying to portray. We talked about this on my show, shape
Yeah.
shifting to be what they wanted. And because I didn't have any self-worth, I just felt like if he is shiny and this is what he wants, I'll just be that. So I was projecting what he was looking for and I matched that. But it's like now I know who I am and I've never put this out into the dating atmosphere. And if you're not living exactly as who you are, you're not going to attract the right match. So it's just a waste of time to like portray something that isn't authentically you.
Totally. No, and here's the thing, because I work with a lot of people on this. Obviously, so many people are going to relate to this. Is that when you are like a people pleaser, when you're a caretaker, like you focus so much on the other person, and that's where your confidence lives, right? And that's why you end up losing yourself in the process because you're just so focused on other people. Like at what moment, and I know this is still part of the journey, and maybe we'll segue after this into the coaching part of things, but how were you able to like let go of the fear of, you know, upsetting somebody, because that's the thing. Like we think if we're our authentic selves, like, oh, well, they're not going to like me, or I don't want to be mean, or you don't want to create conflict, or you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that's a journey. And I didn't know, like, were there points or like things that helped you with that?
I needed to find self-love. And now it's like
Yeah.
that I love myself. It's like if this person doesn't love me, that's fine. Like when I didn't have self-love, I validated my worthiness through someone else's love.
Yeah.
And I did not find self-love, Kimmy, till I had two kids, let's call it late 38. And it just wasn't, I don't know. I've unpacked a lot. I'm a perfectionist, firstborn, like nothing was ever good enough. And I was always just pushing for something more. Like you said, people pleasing. And I think me writing that first book, I don't know, it was like I got validation and people were like, this is helping people. And it was like, I saw everything just kind of aligned. I was like, that's why I had 15 years of mess because I'm supposed to come out and help the next person. And it gave me profound purpose and value. And I just didn't have it before. And when I started living this way, it wasn't as attractive to my husband because he never would have been attracted to this girl ever.
That's what I want to talk about. So I love that you just went there because, right. So what happened when you started like coming into your power and having passion and purpose?
It just, I don't want to, like, he didn't sign up for this. I love him.
Yeah.
We get along great because we're in different houses. He just wasn't, I don't think he was used to not being like that. I was just on his arm before. He just didn't know
Yeah.
how. He really wanted to support me and I could see the struggle, but I think a lot of it was his like conditioning and upbringing of like what a woman, like a female role, like a mom should be at home. Like you don't go do book signings, you're not on TV. Like what are you doing? He was just kind of like, what is this? And it kind of did, you could say came out of nowhere because the first 15 years we were together, I didn't have any aspirations, but it wasn't like I'm going to say that I want to be a stay-at-home mom, then I'm going to flip the switch and I'm going to start a career. I never saw it coming. So there's no way I could have prepared him for this. And it kind of took us both. Like we were talking off camera, I was just going live on Instagram and someone gave me this show. And then by extension, I wrote another book and a nonprofit. And it was just like, bam, bam, bam. And he was kind of like, whoa, just kind of pulled away from me a little bit. And again, I could see him trying. He wanted to support me, but it just wasn't, it wasn't what he signed up for, honestly. I said I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. He's retired. And now that I have stepped into purpose, it's putting like the kids on his plate more. And it's just not very convenient. And we did a couple years and even a move, like I moved down to the South where his family is trying to make everything copacetic. And it was just getting worse because my career, I kept getting more opportunities and I just didn't feel, I don't want to say like he tried to support me, but when you do something big, like you want your spouse to see it, that's the person you want to show things to. And I
Yeah.
could see he didn't want to see it. And the more I couldn't just dull things, it wasn't exciting, like things I felt like should be more excited and celebrated. And I couldn't with him. Like it, and so it didn't feel aligned. And he's kind of like, I want to be that for you, but I'm not. He would not have signed up for this girl. So I can't even blame him. But he was
Yeah.
such an integral part of me, like realizing what I really wanted. And I am not going to settle. Like it all had purpose. We have two beautiful kids,
Mhm.
but this version of me, I feel like there is a different match for.
Well, you know what's so beautiful, and I had such a similar journey to you, I think this happens especially when you get married younger and you don't know yourself as much, and when you're used to putting attention and focus on others. What happened is you finally got a little selfish and started getting attention for you. And
Yeah.
like you said, he didn't sign up for that. Like he
Mhm.
signed up for you giving the attention on him. Right.
Yeah.
And so when it flip flops, yeah, it changes the dynamic, but then what a beautiful journey for you that now you're able to like be proud of yourself and have your own thing and be okay, like not have shame around or being embarrassed about your story and having purpose and having the spotlight on you. Like this is a whole new journey for you, and that's why I'm so excited for you to like start dating more so you could see just different kinds of men and
Yes.
like what that feels like, to have
Yes. And
more reciprocity.
I have to say though, that, and it has been a journey. That is the word. Anyone that's listening
Yeah.
and is still feeling like, I don't know, like the mom guilt, like it's not about you, it's about the kids. Like you want to
Yes.
step into purpose and your calling, but you don't want to inconvenience anyone else. It took me 2 years to finally be like,
Yeah.
this is bigger. This is why my soul was put on this planet. I know to do the work I'm doing, especially with the teen girls and sharing vulnerable conversations. And when you know, like when you step into alignment, for a long time, I wanted to prove to him that this was right. And now I'm just like, I know that this is what I'm supposed to do. It's an inconvenience to other people. And I get that, but it's not selfish to follow the path that you so clearly were supposed to take. And if anybody is like still in the guilt and like it took me 2 years because you just want
Mm.
to appease everyone else, like you said. And there's two kids that are now going back and forth because of a decision that I made. And I sat in that for 2 years. But ultimately, like I have experts on my show, and everyone is like, you have to choose you. Like it's you over your kids, over your spouse. I'm like, no, that doesn't sound right. Like I'm the mom. And it's like, you have to be true to what your soul is calling you to do. And it was a 2 year journey for me to get here, but it will be clear one day. You just have to follow the inner guidance that you're getting, regardless of who is saying it isn't right.
The conversation is that it's an and. It's not a
Yes.
either or, right? Like I I should be a mom. I can't be this. I can be a mom, I can be a lover, I can be a giver, and I can be
Yes.
a media personality and have the spotlight on me without shame, like what and say it loud, say it proud. And I think that's the journey when you're so used to being in the other way that,
Yes.
and that's part of the part like the perfectionistic kind of mentality too. It's like all or nothing, like and
Yes.
like as you were talking about like creating that balance, because I was curious, and we're gonna get a little bit deeper if you don't
No.
mind, just
Can
because
I
it.
say one thing that I just
Yes.
wish I said? What a disservice you would be doing to that girl that suffered and your
Yeah.
younger self that went through all of that to not see it through. So anybody that's feeling
Right.
guilt and shame, it's like all of that, you finally get to like what you're supposed to do. What a disservice to your younger self who you need to be true
Mm.
to not step into it. It's just another like reframe for someone that's struggling with, but I'm a mom. Go ahead. Yes, let's
Beautiful.
go
I
deep.
love that. Yeah. Oh, that, no, so good. So good.
Okay.
I know, because it's like you need to hear that, almost to give yourself permission to be that,
Mhm.
right? And
Yes.
well, because I wonder too, like I don't know much about your upbringing. Like, what was your role growing up? Like, were you kind of the caretaker in your family too, or?
Yeah, the oldest sibling, four girls. I'm the oldest.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, obsessive, oh, like so just so laser focused on soccer. And just to show you, yes, I played Division 1 soccer. So did my three sisters. And none of them were psychopaths about it. And they all had great careers. I was the only one. And I have to equate it to like birth order and feeling like I had to like lead the way and be perfect and lead by example. And because they didn't struggle and they all grew up in the same household, two-parent household. Like I've really tried to like dig in there, like, why did I get so this proving energy that I am worthy? And then if it's not soccer, you've done my show. Now my show has to be worthy. to show people, yeah, that didn't work out, but this is why. Like I still struggle so much with this proving everything is fine. I've got it all together energy. And
Yeah, that's why I want to hover here because I feel like this is like the key to your queendom, so to speak.
oh,
Because now, like, fast forward to dating, we were talking about this off air, is that
yeah,
the energy needs to be more leaning back than to chase and have something be perfect,
yes.
kind of thing. And that's right. Like, and it, because I call it leaking. It's going to keep leaking in different parts of your life. And
Right.
I wondered, so like when you achieved and you were like kind of little Miss Perfect, on the field and doing all these things in the family, like what were your parents' reactions to that?
Kimmy, it's like even more than I've shared. Like I was homecoming queen and prom queen. I was the captain of the soccer team. Like I would say the it girl in high school. I had
Yeah.
everything. It wasn't like they made me feel like I had to uphold, like I had to get those things to gain their love. I was very self motivated. Like I
No, no,
needed
no,
a
I get
title,
that. I get that. But
but
like
they didn't
what?
make me feel like it was like something that I needed to. I don't know, they were very casual and very accepting of me. I did it to myself. I don't like,
But I guess what I'm asking is when you did have these achievements,
yes.
like what was their typical reaction to you? Like would they give you a lot of praise for
No,
it? Were they
no,
just kind of like, "Oh, that's cool," like casual
yes.
about it?
Very casual. Yes.
Ah,
So
okay.
then
And
it's like I needed something bigger. I needed to be like, oh, now I got to do this. I needed a reaction and I wasn't getting it. So I keep,
that's what I'm trying to get at. Okay,
yeah, I could
yeah,
see
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
so like if you didn't achieve, would there be any like just confirmation and validation and love for you being you, independent from what you did?
I don't know. I mean, I don't want to like, they love me, but it was
Yeah,
like I
yeah,
needed them to feel like I was special, like I was not
yeah,
just average, like to earn their love, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, because, but I don't feel like they did anything wrong. Like I'm the opposite, and it's probably too much. I hype my kids up so much that it's like too much, probably. I probably should be somewhere in the middle of how my parents were and how I am. And I'm not saying
right.
like that's the way to be, but I never felt unloved ever. But I don't know where that came from that I needed to be better, like perfect and have all the titles in order for somebody to be like, wow, good job. Like,
Well, no, but I think I do. As you're talking, just because I want to tie it together, and then we can kind of move forward with your dating plan. I know you want.
hey,
So, um, I do, I know. I'm like
I have
I
to
would
go
just
back in
be
the
at a.
basement, Kimmy.
I mean, you're in my basement with shackles. Like we have to do something, right? So, how, how were your parents in ways of like expressing feelings?
Ooh, not much.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of that there. And that's like my biggest complaint about well, he's still my husband, but my ex, I'm like, show something. I know you're not okay. Say you're not okay. And it bothers me so much that he wouldn't be vulnerable. Like I want that so much. And maybe it was because I was deprived of that in my childhood. Look at you, Kimmy.
Well, I'm just saying, do you see the
I do see.
connection? Because,
Yes.
well, and here's the thing, it's very common. And again, this is not to blame your parents at all. I always say our past is connected to the future, the choices we make, the patterns that get created, right? And that's why I just feel like we all get into habits. So this habit that you have of being a perfectionist, of striving to have control over just your destiny of whatever's going on came from somewhere. It didn't just like happen, right? And
Yes.
people think, oh, well, it's just my birth order, blah blah blah, and that's part of it. But there's sometimes something that you didn't realize that was
Yes.
missing, and so what happens is when you grow up in a family that doesn't express feelings, there's like a child is on this constant quest to first of all figure out how someone feels, so then
Mm.
a lot of predicting and assuming happens and you're always like kind of hyper vigilant and trying to check things out so that you can get some sort of feedback, like give me something kind of thing.
Yes.
So maybe the little girl Erin was like, well, if I'm the dancing monkey and then I do this, then I'll finally like hear how you feel, right?
Yes.
And it was a subconscious thing. Do you know what I'm saying? But I'm just
Yes. But
wondering if you've ever thought of that.
I know. And before you even wrap it up, before you tie a bow on it, there's the validation from my ex specifically. Like, I need him to say, you're doing great. This was a great decision to step into this. And even though I know, I want him to say it. And if I have a big interview, or if I do a big, I'm like, did anyone send it to him? That, like, it doesn't matter about accolades from anywhere else, or people on Instagram, like all these likes. I'm like, but did Marcus see it? I have a very big piece of, he needs to validate me. I need him to be like, you know what, it was the right decision for you to step into this, and I see it now. I am like waiting for that. I probably will never get it, but why do I need his validation specifically? And maybe it was my parents before. Why? I know that this is what I mean. I had weird things happen, like the confirmations will hit you over the head, and people are like, you made that up. It's so profound. And, but he doesn't say it. And it's not valid and the right thing unless he tells me. I still have that. I want him to see it and validate and be like, wow, great job.
So bingo. I mean, this is the pattern right now that you've just been in your habit that you've gotten into your whole life. And so it's little girl Erin is actually asking, the validation from, it's that attachment, right? Like your ex was just yet the same dynamic.
Yes.
There's something in psychology called familiarity principle, and it's like we all are attracted to what is familiar to us, good, bad, or indifferent. And so
Mm.
he, by not giving you validation and hard to get that from, you found yourself doing the dancing monkey like you've always done, and like, well, I'll do
Yes.
this and I'll do that and I'll be
Look at
cheerleader,
me.
blah blah blah, like hurrah, now am
Yes.
I the best, kind of thing.
Yes.
And so it's like a broken record basically, and it's so frustrating because you think, well, now I'll get it, now I'll get it right. And by the way, that's going to keep happening with men. Even you will probably get attracted to those like avoidant guys or narcissistic guys or whatever have you, because they're not going to give you the attention, and that feels familiar. You're like, oh, I know this. And it's
But
just subconscious, right?
I am so like sure of myself now. So I was hoping, 'cause I haven't been on a date, that like now
Yeah.
that I know who I am, I guess I'm still holding. I would like, it would be a great benefit if he, or a bonus, if my ex would validate me. But in a new relationship, I don't know. I feel like, I hope that I wouldn't need it anymore, because I don't know.
It's the
I don't know.
opposite. Wait, Erin,
Is
it's
it?
the
No,
opposite.
no, no. Don't tell
You
me
should
that.
want it. No, no, no. You should demand it. Like, no, don't like
Queen, dating like a queen. Okay.
yes.
Demand it. Okay.
Demand
That
it.
feels
But
very foreign to me, and it would not be authentic to me to demand it. Like, I'm so just like,
right.
so
No,
I
but
need to
that's what
do
I'm
some work.
saying. Right. Like, so what's going to happen is you're going to do the whole thing that you normally do and make the guy feel amazing. And then you'll say, oh, well, I don't need it anymore because I'm mature now. Like I can fulfill my own stuff. No, the whole thing is that you should have reciprocity in the way that people express themselves. Like he needs to show and express feelings to you just like you to him. And the only way you're going to have that even plane is for you to show up differently, right? And
Okay.
so like the number one thing I would say that would be on your dating plan is to date with just the sole purpose of practicing how you feel and who you are, and like letting guys know what you like, like leading with more of that rather than making them feel good in the beginning,
Ooh,
there, and which would be probably totally foreign to you, even,
totally foreign. I don't even
yes.
want to say I would be like trying to make them feel good. I wouldn't even go that far, or make them feel good about themselves. I just, I don't know. It just feels like I'm very humble and chill, and like I would want to make jokes. I wouldn't want to come off as respect me, and you better know what I like. That does
But you
not
can do
feel
both.
authentic.
No,
Okay.
you can do both, because Erin,
Okay.
I'm the same way. Like I'm not, I'm jokey like you, and
Yes.
like I always say,
Playful.
like you, right? Like you do you. You don't have to be this like bitch who's like, well, excuse
Okay.
me, no, I need to be picked up at in a limo next time, like I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
But it's like
Okay.
when you like little things that might occur. So let's say you're in a car and you're cold. Like maybe in the past you wouldn't
Oh,
say anything because
right.
well, I
Okay.
don't really know him. It's like, oh, do you mind turning up the heat a little bit? I'm just getting
Okay.
chilly. And you
Okay.
could say it fine, you could say it flirty, but just practicing saying how you feel in those moments to
Okay.
see how men respond to you in those beginning phases. Because people always show you who they are in the beginning, always, every
Yeah.
single time. So I just think like you should be doing research right now,
Okay.
not even like looking to date like the guy who could be your partner. Like you're not even there yet. Like you're in kindergarten. I'm sorry. Like
I know.
I'm putting you back on the playground so that
It's
you
where I
learn how to
deserve to
play.
be, Kimmy.
No, but in such a fun way. Like
I haven't been on
kindergarten's
a date since 2005, like
right. Like
20 years. Like I've just been comfortable in
yeah.
my relationship. And this came up on my show. Whenever you say date, I immediately go to like a relationship. And you're like, no, I've never just casually dated. I
Right.
go on a date because I know I'm interested in that person and then I will accept the date. And then that's my boyfriend for a couple years. I've never just casually dated multiple people in my life. Met my ex when I was 24.
No, I had the same journey, and it was only until I really learned how to date without getting attached is when all the stuff that I needed to learn, like with my journey, it was like literally skill building during that time.
Okay.
And really, it was like I was dating myself. It's like, oh,
Okay.
I didn't know I could be this way, or I didn't know those kind of guys are even out there. Like, I think I said this on your show too. It's like you've only tasted a gobstopper, like
Yes.
you're a kid in the candy store. Like, there's so many other candies. But again, like if you go with that intention of just simply practice and having fun, honestly, kindergarten is so much more fun than the PhD program. It really is. I know you're an achiever and you want to go there, but like that's not fun. And that's why
Yeah.
dating becomes really hard.
Yeah.
So, again, high level, obviously, like we would map out something way more, strategic and specific, but I would just like, create kind of that mission statement for yourself of like, I'm just going to go out and I'm going to flirt and have fun with everyone, but I'm going to learn how to show up for myself and lead with that first and
Okay.
see how guys respond. And by doing that, you need dates, right? So then, like, come up with a list of things that you're going to try. Like, so update, you said that you tried some things after we had our episode and you
I was
flirted,
just,
right?
it's
What
so funny. You like
happened?
jumped in my brain. I was like, where are the dates, Kimmy? Where are these guys? And like at
Yeah,
Publix, and right after you did my show, you were like, I kept saying, there's no one I'm attracted to. I'm never attracted to someone. Obviously, I'm sure it has a lot to do with me still being attracted to my ex, even though knowing that is done. We should not be together. I know it's over, but maybe I hadn't like released that yet. What last time we
right.
talked? Maybe like the day after you did my show, I'm like pushing my cart. Publix is a grocery store in the South. And there was an attractive guy. And it was such a foreign thing for me to see someone that I was attracted to. I was like, wait, does he have a ring? Like, what if he's married? How do you know? Is first, like, some people don't wear the ring. And I'm like looking to see what's in his cart. Like, does he have kid things? Does he have girl things? Like, I'm trying to figure out if he's single, but I don't even, like, I kept seeing him. Like, I would turn and we made eye contact. I just like kind of smiled. Then I saw him in another aisle and I was like, you again. And then like the next time I was like, okay, you either have like I can see that you're following me around, like this is getting uncomfortable. And he kind of like he's like, no, I don't know what I'm doing. And I made like a flirty joke. And then I DM'd you and was like, Kimmy, I'm in Publix and I'm flirting with someone and he's cute. And it's like ongoing. And I keep running into him. But I was like, we have to stop meeting. Like you have to stop following me around. And he laughed, like he took it fun, but I've
Yeah,
never seen him since. So he may have been afraid, but again, who knows? Like, I didn't know if he was
great.
single. He had like a shit ton of water in it. He's thirsty and dehydrated. So much water. But I'm like, does that mean, is he buying water for kids? Is he a single dad? I don't even know if he's an option, but I was attracted to him. And it was like he was in my path, literally with my cart. And I was playful. And he,
I love that. And that's what you should honestly be doing just all day long, you know?
okay.
So even just in your conversation out loud, like you're in your head so much. Is he
Yes,
single? And
I
what
know.
about the water? And blah, blah, like
Because
you
I've never
live
had to do it, Kimmy. I'm never attracted to
right.
people. So I'm like, who cares if he's single? But I was attracted to him. And I got so in my head. Like
Yeah.
who? Yes.
But if you
Okay.
know that your mission is to not get a boyfriend right now, like if you were
Yes.
my client, I would say you cannot get a boyfriend right now. Like you're not allowed to. Like I would
That's
take that.
probably going to be easy because I'm such a psycho, like uncomfortable. Okay. Yeah.
Do you
I don't
say
think we need
because
to
if
worry
you
about
go
me getting a boyfriend.
in, right, if you go in with that intention, then who cares if he's single or not? Like
Okay.
your only job is to flirt and have fun with him.
Okay.
And I mean, if something
Easy.
comes out of it, great.
Okay.
But that's not your intention going in. And
Okay.
it'll create less stress because your job is to just experiment and do research because you're trying to override some of your bad habits and you're trying to
Okay.
just get more experience with men. That's
Okay.
it.
Okay. I know. Okay. Yes. You're
Right?
right.
Like
Who cares if he's single? I'm not
who
trying to
cares?
date him. I'm
Right.
just trying data dating. I'm trying to, what do you call it? Like
Data
just
dating. Yeah.
data dating.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Okay.
So
Yes.
I would just like start simple. Like that's the start of the plan, you know, because I
All
don't want to
right.
get any more specific because then you'll get obsessive with it.
You're exactly right. Okay.
Yeah, like
Yes.
I
Fair.
just let's
That's
just start
fair.
small, you know.
Okay.
And so I love this episode so much. I was looking at the time, like we could literally do this for another hour, but we will just have to have you back on the show and to be continued.
And see what happened with my flirting if like anything manifested from it. It'll be
Exactly.
an
But like
update.
I would just love to hear like because we made some connections today too, you know, just like as we were
Yeah.
talking about the self-worth and the body
Yes.
image and all that, and just like
Right.
how even like roles that we had growing up, it's there's like programming that's
Kimmy,
in that,
I
right?
didn't want to interrupt you earlier. When you said the gobstopper, it reminded me of something you said on my show. I was like, I know what I want now. I know what I don't want. And you're like, but you don't because you've only had a gobstopper and you haven't had all the other candy. And I remember I was like, yes, I need a vulnerable man who will show their feeling. Another thing, I was like, this guy has, I know I want it. And now we know why,
Yeah.
because I didn't have that. And I need someone to like show feelings and emotion because I didn't have it in my childhood or my marriage. I said that to you. You were like, well, you don't know what you want. And I was like, I know I need a vulnerable man that steps out of his pride and just shows emotion. And that came from my child. Like no one has ever put that together. All my show is therapists coming on and helping me through my stuff. And no one has made that connection. Like,
Mhm.
yes, obviously. And I meant it when I know, like, no, I know we're not going to do pride anymore. We don't show feelings or we don't emote. I know I need it because I was deprived of that in my
Yeah.
marriage and in my childhood. Man, yes, we have closed some loops.
And that's all we can do, right? And the notion is to not dwell on it. It's kind of like once you make the connections, then it's like, well, what do we do about it?
Yeah.
And my action for you is, well, all you have control over is you. So if you show up differently by being vulnerable, then you get
Yeah.
to see who responds because a
Yeah.
vulnerable person is going to like you that way.
Yes, I'm the most vulnerable. Like I feel like anyone listening has learned a lot
Oh
about
my
me already.
God.
And if I want a vulnerable man, I have to project vulnerability and I have to be vulnerable. Duh, that I've got that down. Like
Yeah.
I am vulnerable. So hope and I wasn't before and I attracted someone who is not at all. I was keeping everything in and make I was homecoming queen and prom queen and everything is perfect and I don't throw up my food. I would never tell anybody that. Now I share
Yeah.
like the most shameful things and authentic vulnerability. So hopefully this energy will match with a man who is just as vulnerable.
Yes, and what you want to do is you match the vulnerability and tying in the use of feeling words because you can tell stories based on your past, but it's not until you connect the feeling that you're having. Like I
Okay.
was sad when,
Okay.
I was excited by. I find it so passionate when, you know, and it's those feeling words that you were deprived of that when you learn to show up that way, then a man gets to hear, even if he's subconscious, he
Yeah.
can hear how things make you feel. So be careful of just like, it's not about TMI, just like
Thank you.
barfing out
Yes,
literally words.
I
It's
gotcha.
also the context of why it's important to you.
I love
So
that.
if you're cold, you say, oh, instead of just saying, can you turn up the heat a little bit? You say, oh, I'm a little cold. Could you turn up the heat? Like that's the
Okay.
feeling that's attached to
Yes.
that. And the more
Thank you.
you do it, and you get to see who responds.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you. And thank you. I just love you so much, like for just all your insight and your shares. And I think you just help so many people by just leaning into this, like part of your life and your journey. Cause I mean, we all struggle. We all struggle.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Any
Thank you.
last words of wisdom? And also, like, if you wanted to just shout out your podcast and where people can find you as well.
Words of wisdom is just if you have not found self acceptance and love and purpose yet, I didn't find it till almost 40. And look back to what you thought was a dark time or what you are so glad is over. It could be in there. Look at that. Think about someone who's still in it. Share your story. Share something that you're passionate about, or maybe something that you could teach someone else. And you find your purpose in supporting others. And you can build a community. And then it all aligns of why you went through it and why you're supposed to be here. Again, if you haven't found it yet, and it's nothing is hitting for you, you can find it later in life. You're not just a mom. Um, I host a podcast called thERINpy with Erin Washington, where I work through all of my things with professionals or people that are just as vulnerable and authentic. And I do it so that you can get the answers without having to be vulnerable yourself. My foundation, Blue Butterfly, helps provide mentorship to teen girls. And we do little conferences all over the country with women who have been through the same things so that they don't feel so they can be vulnerable, I guess, and they feel comfortable and safe with us because we get it. And my book is called From Pain to Purpose, Finding Meaning in the Mess. It's on Amazon. And my Instagram is I am Erin Washington.
Love it. I love it. All right. Well, we're obviously going to continue our conversation. So thanks so much for coming on.
Do I have to go back to the basement now?
No, you're out.
Yes.
You've graduated to the first level. I'm not going to let you out of the house, but at least you're out.
I don't even want to leave. Thank you for having me.
Yay. We'll have some fun girl time. All right. Thanks, Erin. So thanks for joining me today. This has been the Charisma Quotient. As always, I'm your host, Kimmy Seltzer. And remember, you can build confidence, make connections, and find love from the outside in. And if you want to know more, make sure you go to my site, kimmyseltzer.com. And if your health is affecting your love life, then hop on a private call with me. We can talk about ways to get you out of this funk. And I actually have a unique opportunity. I haven't announced it yet because if you can believe it, I don't have a lot of spots left, but a few more women who would like to take it to the next level and experience a change in this part of your life, I have something for you. So, coming up in February, I am doing a small, intimate, private retreat. I have not done this before. It's brand new. It's called Inner Spark and Soul Retreat, and it focuses on nurturing your body, your mind, and your soul because we all know if you look and feel your best, that's when you attract what you want. And through like curated activities that I'm going to be doing with you, this transformative experience is going to be combining rejuvenating wellness practices, exploration of femininity energy, and self care strategies, both inside and out. And I am almost full, as I said, but I do have a few spots left. So if you're interested, here's the thing just go to askkimmy.com and let me know you're interested, or just click again that link that you see in the show notes to book a private call with me, and we can see if it's a fit. It would be a great way to get your mental and physical well being in check for the new year. A new year, a new you. And remember, working on you is working on your dating life. That's all for now.